Hey there, it's Coach Cole here, and welcome to Leadership Lessons from Life. Now, today I'm talking about, as a follow-on from the session we did last Wednesday around leadership lessons, we'll be talking about making values-based decisions. Now, for those that may not have tuned in last Wednesday or listened to the podcast, last Wednesday, on Leadership Lessons, I walked through the concept of core values, the core values in which we have. And I'd walked through a change of thinking in relation to values. Often when we go through a values process, we look at those things that we call our aspirational values. Whereas where we started with this particular concept was our current values. So our current values are often quite different from our aspirational values. And it's a really good starting point for when we want to work towards an aspirational values base and we want to live from there. But our current values might be incredibly different. So, for example, some people may have passion as a value, but if they're struggling to make a decision, maybe passion isn't the value that they're actually currently exhibiting. Maybe it's more like indecisiveness. So it's a really good place to start to understand what your current value set is, and then work from there. We also then talked about, do our current values help us? Do our current values help us be better at what it is that we do? Created a hierarchy of importance, or prioritized our values. And then I talked about how to deal with some of those internal conflicts that we have in relation to our values. Today, I want to just take what we did last week and take it to the next level and start talking about making values-based decisions, because it's hard making values-based decisions. And it's often even harder when we explain them. So what does that mean? Some people will say things like integrity is a value, but then take an opportunity that may not be as maybe ethical as what others may consider the word integrity to mean. So it's hard to explain then why that decision was made. So you've made a decision. It may actually be based on a values process, but it may also be out of line with one or two of those values that you are known for. So making a values-based decision is really, really important. And that's why it's important to understand the hierarchy, because success or driving for success or grinding might be one of those values that sit higher on your totem pole, on your hierarchy, than what integrity does, which means that you are actually making a values-based decision, because success and grinding and hard work and hustle and all of those things that are dear to you actually rank a bit higher than what integrity. Doesn't mean that you don't have integrity. It just means that whenever you're making a decision, because of that hierarchy of importance, you are probably going to align with the hustle, success value quicker than what you will align to the integrity value. So and that's why I say making a values-based decision is actually really hard to do. Explaining it is often harder. And that's the reason why, as part of this process, I want you thinking about what is that hierarchy of values that you have within your life, because it's really, really important to understand that. The next step that I want to talk about as part of this whole process of making those values-based decisions is actually really starting to understand that we all view the world in our own way. We view the world through our eyes, through our beliefs, and we look at the way others behave, we look at the way others act, and we look at others, the way others may make their decisions, and we look at it through the filter of us. We look at it through the filter of our values, the way that we perceive the world. Now, it's really, really important for us as we grow in business and as we grow in leaders to actually understand and take time to understand other people's values. Because then the next important step for us as a business leader is to be able to project our own values through understanding other values. I hope that makes sense. Projecting our own values by understanding others' values. It's really important to take time to understand another person's values first. Because the other thing that we talk about is that we don't want ourselves necessarily overly projecting our values onto others. Others won't impose their values onto us, but it's important for us to understand their values so that we can understand that they live by those values, but also how that can interact with our values to drive success for us in relation to making values-based decisions. So it's a really cool way to think about it, that to understand others, it helps us to align our behaviors and the way that we interact with those people for our own success. So it's really, it's a cool way to think about it. So once again, it's a little bit different from just doing an aspirational values process and then saying, I'm going to live by these 5 values. There's more to it. Understanding our current values, understanding those aspirational ones that we may have, but then also understanding other people's values so we can align with that. We can understand them a little bit better because, as I've said, we see the world through our eyes. And one of our greatest challenges is that for us to succeed and for us to influence others, it's really, really important for us to understand others and align with them and to be able to influence them. I get asked all the time, is it possible to change your values? And I say 100% yes. Of course, it's possible. But ultimately, what I want you to be thinking about is, what is the person that you ultimately want to become? Is it an influencer? Is it a leader? Is it a successful business owner? Is it a solopreneur? Is it a person that's for a cause? Because all of those things are going to help you decide how often to review, adjust, refine your values. Of course, you can define your values. And often when we think about changing our destiny in life, it really is about changing our values. So really, it's about understanding who you want to be. What is the person that you are now, and who is it that you want to become? Because that is going to give you the catalyst to help you understand what values you need to review, how often you need to review them, and then if there is another way that you can be living your life in alignment with your core values. Now, I know that this has sounded different to what you would normally hear within a values process. So take some time to take it all in. It really is a challenging way to think about it. We think about our current values. Are they helping us? What are my aspirational values? What's the hierarchy of importance that I want to assign? Because we might say that there's 5 values in our life that are all equal. No, they're not. They're not. There's going to be 1 or 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. You'll be able to plot them on a hierarchy of importance, absolutely. And then we utilize that work to understand how then we can make values-based decisions, how we can use that process to understand other people's values and align ours to us and to our values to increase our influence. And then what does it look like moving forward for you? Who is the person that you wish to become, and how often should you be reviewing and refining your values? I hope you've taken something away out of leadership lessons today. I shall see you all again next week. Bye for now.